Turns out there is crying in baseball. Major tears for the grade 2 teres major strain of Twins ace Pablo Lopez. It's the same injury that Joe Ryan sustained in August. The good news is it's June, so there's enough season left that Rocco thinks we will see Lopez pitch in a significant portion of the season. Still, we are left to wonder what the Twins will do without Pablo. If you want to hear about that, along with what's next for the starting rotation of your favorite team, it's time to get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Every day, something bad happens to the Twins, even if they win. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day, and don't you forget it. And also don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who remembers shedding major tears in second grade. That's not really the same thing. Or even more recently, and I'm not even afraid to say so. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the great plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who can cry on demand. It's really something. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can find more of our work eventually at Access Twins and Zone Coverage. On the show today, have you been counting on your fingers like me? How long? June to July, July to August, August, September. That's how long Pablo Lopez will be out, until August or September, because of a teres major strain that's going to put a major strain on the Twins pitching staff, along with the mental health of Twins fans. Who steps up in his place? Today, it appears to be David Festa. Do the Twins need to make any other plans for their rotation? I know Brandon wants to trade for Sandy Alcantara. Is the Twins front office really willing to do something like that? Related question, did the Pohlads sell the team yet? One more game with the Athletics on the Twins' 10-game road trip, by the way. The Twins have been winning, but it's time to get the heck out of this ballpark at home. They're opting out Carlos Correa today because the batter's box is so bad he can't stop slipping in it. Batter's box, warning track, bad lighting, real professional ballpark there, John Fisher in West Sacramento. That and more. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. That sounds like a good deal. So get to the FanDuel right now and start dueling. Brandon, I didn't think it would be the Joe Ryan injury. I was just hoping. I didn't really have any. I was going by what Pablo was saying. It wasn't that bad. It doesn't hurt that bad. But he's got the teres major again. I don't know if this is like a disease or why it's happening, but the saving grace here, as I said, is that it is June 5th and it's not August. So there is a really good possibility, as long as it goes, I guess, as well as Joe Ryan's recovery, that Pablo Lopez will be back in August. Is that we just have to take that away and hold on to that as the good news here?
I mean, I guess so. I think there's multiple benefits to when it happened, in the sense that it will give them enough time to determine if they need to make a move at the deadline, if they're afforded, literally, that ability to make a move. I mean, there's some guys I like who aren't expensive. I like Ryan Feltner of Colorado, for instance. But
I've heard you say that before. That's funny.
Yeah, but I also said Victor Robles last year, so give me some credit here. But just having the runway to get him back in business is also beneficial, assuming everything heals the way it should. And they said he could be throwing within a month, and obviously with that much time down, you're going to need more or less to be rebuilt from scratch, right? Like, not necessarily a full spring training or anything, but probably anywhere from 3 to 4-ish rehab assignment outings, varying lengths of pitches and innings and stuff. So it's going to be a long road back. And as it says on the screen here, everybody wanted Zebby and Festa, and now you got them. And suddenly there's another opportunity too for Slim Simeon Woods Richardson to come back at some point too. So between those guys, and obviously we've talked about a couple other guys down on the farm too, in Morris and Adams, that could maybe help as well. their depth is going to be tested. And if you came into the season not expecting that, I'm not sure what Twins team you've been watching the last few years, but that's just, again, that's baseball, Susan. You're going to have to lean on your depth, and you're going to have to lean on it hard. And one funny joke that I saw people say was, maybe the Twins will trade for Tyler Mahle again. And I had to shake my head. He's pitching well, but he's not striking anybody out. So I think they already got one of those in Chris Paddock. But I'll be eager to see what this all looks like a month from now, if and when Pablo starts throwing again, how the Twins have fared in the meantime. But if there was a place that they could handle any sort of time-consuming injury, I would say the rotation is probably it, right?
Yes, but Pablo is, not only does he pitch well, he keeps runs off the board, he pitches a lot of innings.
Yes.
And I don't know if that can be made up. Festa has been troubled, although not recently by some bicep soreness and shoulder fatigue, and or maybe that's the same thing. I don't know, but they put him down for a couple weeks there, and it's just something to curb your enthusiasm, I guess, a little bit. It's something to be aware of. Zebby isn't necessarily going to go deep into games. Zebby pitched pretty well yesterday, although he was maybe average with his swing and misses. Wasn't particularly great. Had some traffic on the bases. And I've said before, the A's are really good at working counts and making you fatigued as a pitcher and getting into your bullpen. So that's, I guess a little bit of it is on them. Good news with Lopez, if the Twins can stay in the playoff race, and I think they're going to. Yeah. And he's healthy for the playoffs, that's great. That's like best case scenario right now for the Twins. At the same time, not having him around is going to hurt because their other pitchers aren't really great at going into games, going deep into start. Even Joe Ryan sometimes has to use a lot of pitches to get to the sixth inning.
It's going to have a cascade effect, basically, is how much is
the start to get yes.
When you start chopping two, 3 extra innings every trip through the rotation that go to Louis Varland, assuming Festa keeps you in those games and you're using your better relievers. Yeah, it's going to be cause for concern, or at least cause for further, like, not necessarily scrutiny in the bad sense, but like studying it more thoroughly of how we weather a storm like this. And we understood, the Twins, not me specifically. The
royal we, but not the KC royal we.
Yes. That was a lot. It's going to change how things get managed. I saw someone say, got to stretch your pitchers out more. Not in response to a pitcher injury. You could say, I want to see Zebby pitch more because he only threw something like 77 pitches on Wednesday night. But like, he also was, I think they're coming up on like 2, 3, 4 or something like that in the order. And the Twins only led by 2 runs at the time. You can want to lengthen guys out, but if the situation dictates that you need your A bullpen to win a game, and at the moment it did, before the offense kind of perked up, sometimes you just got to do what is right rather than, stretching a guy out because, he doesn't have 90 pitches yet. Sometimes you just can't do that.
You're asking a lot of specifically Festa and Zebby to go deep into games when they really weren't even really doing that in the minors.
It's a place where I'm okay with, though. Like, I'd rather be there than who a lot of teams would rely on for their 6th and 7th starters. Like, if we call a spade, they are in as good a shape as possible than a lot of other teams, or even where the Twins have been in recent years. A few years ago, they had, I think it was like Dobnak, Lewis Thorpe, and they had one other guy on the outside looking in. I don't remember who it was, but that was like at least guys who had big league experience. Not every team can have that. Look at the way the A's entire rotation and everything is going right now. They've had to really rely on guys that they probably don't want in the major leagues. And I actually do have a fun thought exercise for some point in this episode about their bullpen. And whenever we have time for that, I want to throw it in there.
I think one thing we can, it isn't so much, Rocco, you got to leave the starters in longer, but some of the starters have to pitch more efficiently. Yep. So he is encouraged to leave them in longer. I think that's really what we're talking about. We're not talking about Rocco being willing to just throw a guy out there for an extra inning sometimes. It's that Ober gets into the seventh more often. It's Joe Ryan gets into the seventh more often, and now Chris Paddock again becomes even more paramount. How much longer can that go on? How well he's pitched. It's they're covered to a certain extent, but
right.
It is definitely going to put a strain on things.
Mark Kotze didn't look good letting Jeffrey Springs throw 100+ pitches as a bulk guy. I mean, I'm sure he didn't want to do that, but the game was within grasp, and he was the only guy he had any semblance of trust in. And here we are.
They've lost like 19 out of 20, so they're not. Yeah. They're in their own way desperate for a win. So that's basically what he was doing there. And we are desperate to take a break right now, but not desperate like we don't want to, because we like our sponsors, but we're going to do that and then come back.
Well, the NBA playoffs are coming down the home stretch. We are about to start the finals this evening, actually, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out. And every night we're going to get highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. The entire postseason run has been full of them, especially as a Wolves fan watching 3 separate series. A whole lot of fun. But now there's still time for you to get in on the action with FanDuel. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game, whether it's before tip-off or live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you got a feeling a player is going to step up here in the finals, maybe someone other than SGA and Tyrese Halliburton, now is the time to put your money where your mouth is. And, if you're tracking trends and you got a good feeling about something, hey, you can make some big-time money. And how about this? How would $200 in bonus bets add to your excitement? Hear me out. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up, because right now FanDuel.com has $200 in bonus bets if you hit on your first $5 bet. So again, first $5 bet, find something you're very extremely, supremely, routinely confident in, and they'll hit you up with $200 in bonus bets. It's basically free play to allow you to show that you can roll in the big bucks. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
We are back, Locked On Twins.
Hey, can I do my
gone
thought exercise?
What? Sure.
Who's the worst Twins reliever that the A's would consider their best reliever? Now, this is taking into consideration Mason Miller's struggles. If you must, disregard Mason Miller. Are we talking? It's not Jorge Alcala. Maybe how Alcala's pitched recently would be in the conversation, but like Justin Topa would be a pretty important reliever for the A's, correct?
Are you trying to trade Justin Topa to the A's? Or are you just
no? I'm just saying though, like it gives you appreciation / perspective of how the Twins bullpen is built, that the Twins can go to somebody when Zebby's not particularly tired, but rather more in danger. I'm in danger, huh? Like Ralph Wiggum. That kind of thing. I feel like I would like Twins fans to have some awareness. There's already people that are like, oh, but best bullpen in baseball. How dare they ever give up a run? This bullpen is dang good, man. And you don't need to look too far in Sacramento across the way to see that a team would be desperate for every single one of the relievers you have right now.
I didn't even know that Mason Miller was struggling. I just noticed that they hadn't been using him because they never have a lead in the ninth.
Last I saw, he had an ERA of like 6.
Oh, well, that's not good.
I mean, he's a lot of it is like, the FIP. The FIP tells you, oh, everything's fine. What the FIP, Kip? Right now, 5.49 ERA, 1.32 WHIP, 1.4 homers per 9, 16.9 strikeouts per 9. That's a career high, but 4.6 walks per 9, also a high. Yeah, 5.49 ERA, a FIP about a little over half of that at 2.97. So I think we have to disregard that he exists for the thought exercise, but it's possibly Topa, definitely Brock Stewart, right? Like definitely Brock Stewart.
I think, the guy who started the game yesterday, opened, Justin Sterner, has been good.
Yes, I didn't give him enough credit. I just feel
he's
like
been on my fantasy team too, but I cut him because who needs?
Oh no, you know what? I did. I actually, yeah, he's got a lot of walks and some home runs too, but he's pitched perfectly well. He was the one when I asked you a question about, we had a fun fact about Duran, and it was like Duran had the most of X. Who do you think has more? And it was Sterner, who I at the moment hadn't heard of. So, yeah, I got to give him more credit, but I would say Brock Stewart for sure would be the best reliever in their bullpen, bar Miller. But Topa could stake his claim with a couple more strong outings.
And Stewart has been, I feel like I need to knock on wood or rub a rabbit's foot or whatever, but not only has Stewart been effective, but he keeps throwing harder. He's up to like 97 and stuff.
He just worked it back to back. I think you pointed out in a separate conversation too. Like,
actually, he was off yesterday. I thought these games are all kind of running together that start at 9 p.m. So, so he had a day off in between.
Okay. Even still, like it hasn't felt like they've managed him with kid gloves, so to speak. He has been available when they've needed him, which again, the best ability is availability, and he's had it.
At times, it seems like they've been pushing it a little bit with Louis. And of course, I mentioned Coulomb just because of his injury history and present. But Louis is a big, strong kid. There might be, down the road issue, wear and tear issues with him. But I think he's going to be fine the way they're using him now. But again, this Pablo thing changes the calculus on that a little bit. So I did want to read this into the record, Your Honor. Pablo Lopez, with Rocco saying this about him. Dan Hayes quotes him. I truly believe he's going to be out there pitching for us, probably not at the very end of the year. So that made me nervous. But then he says, we're talking like he'll be able to pitch significantly for us this year. So what Rocco means by that is it's not going to be like October 1st.
Yeah.
And Lopez is back out there and, we don't have anything to go on for the playoffs or whatever. We're talking about he'll be able to pitch significantly for us this year. So Rocco's thinking it's going to be more like
I think it's 3, 4,
August.
5. 3, 4, 5, 6 starts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, though, what's important is that Rocco is usually pretty ambiguous with these things. And this is a surprising revelation, even if it doesn't feel like a particularly illuminating revelation. I think it's significant.
I don't know if is he in denial a little bit? Maybe not in like, just not so much in denial because we don't know that Lopez is going to be out for the rest of the year. We don't think he is, but it's not okay. You mentioned something earlier I want to talk about a little bit. Joe Ryan. Now, it's not exactly the same thing. First of all, we said because that was in August and that killed the rest of his season. But he also had an off season and he had spring training. And if you recall in spring training, he wasn't, I wouldn't say that he was behind, but he certainly wasn't ahead of the curve as far as coming back and building up and being right. So I worry about that a little bit, that the back end of this is going to turn into what it often does with these injuries. And that's the Twins erring on the side of caution, which I think is generally good. I'm just saying, everybody keep your expectations in check. I mean, even if Rocco is, I could just see the way Pablo talks about this injury. He's like, I can't stand being useless. I hate this. I can't wait to work out and lift my arms over my head again. And I feel like there's nobody better prepared than Pablo. But, is it going to eat at him so much that he's going to throw caution to the wind a little bit? And then is there some kind of regression? Everybody needs to chill.
Or if he comes back pitching like Sandy Alcantara is right now. Like,
totally different injuries, but yes.
Yes, but I mean, sometimes you need time to find it again. Tommy John didn't become Tommy John until he had time off. I'm speaking metaphorically, of course. Like most Tommy John pitchers need anywhere from quarter season, half season, and the command comes back later. The stuff is maybe a little sooner. Every player's recovery from every injury is different. But if you expect 100% effective efficiency and results, that's probably on you, not on whoever treats Pablo and anything that has to do with Pablo. So, yeah, and again, like you said, Twins and abundance of caution and how the Twins have handled a lot of young guys shouldn't give you the idea that they're going to throw him back and say, listen, Pablo, 120 pitches on, 3 days rest or anything like that. They're not going to push it too hard.
And we all need to be patient too, because you need to just, again, different injuries, but think back to how Matt Wallner came back, how Royce came back.
Mm-hmm.
It was a long time of, are they going to be like late? Is this going to take longer than we thought? And we just got to remember that these injuries, there's like some threshold that happens where you go from, boy, I don't know how long this is going to take to, oh, he's better. Yep. So we just all got to be patient with that too.
Well, and Royce's
expectations.
Royce's injury last year to open the season, he made his return a year ago yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So the recovery timelines are open-ended, and I think that proves it because he's been back for a little while already. Now, injury timelines and when it happened are different, but when he came back and absolutely kicked the crap out of everybody in his way, he reached 3 times that first game. He hit a home run. He hit home runs in his first 3 games of the year against KC to start, and then those first 2 against the Yankees, and then tailed off at the end. Like the only thing is that you don't know anything with how guys are going to come back from injury.
I know this. It's time for our second break, and we're going to take it now. Second verse, same as the first. So Locked On Twins is back for our final segment. Thursday, June 5th, the day before D-Day. D-Day's June 6th. I don't know why I can't forget that. But so go watch Saving Private Ryan or something. Think about it. We've been talking about Pablo Lopez and his teres major injury, shedding major tears for Pablo, but we're going to be strong. The Twins still have one more game in Oakland. Thank God it's only one. Carlos Correa will not play Thursday, or he won't start anyway. It doesn't sound like he's going to play because he keeps slipping in the batter's box because it's like an inferior batter's box or something. They made the batter's box into the same material they made the stupid warning tracks out of at Sutter Bad for My Mental Health Stadium. And he keeps slipping, and it's aggravating his sore back, an injury that he had more than a week back. So
I had a week back, about a week back.
Exactly. So no Carlos in the lineup.
He's been wearing that. It looks like a power lifter's belt. It's actually a heating and massage belt, and I think I actually have the same exact one that I picked up Walmart special. And I tell you what, it's pretty helpful, but I don't know, like not as many people as I expected would have been like, hey, why is he wearing that thing all the time? Like concerned about him. But it's definitely something he's thinking about. And so, wanting to nip that in the bud ahead of the team coming back and facing Toronto this weekend. For as much as people are saying like, oh, he's such a wimp. If he's a wimp, I want the wimp in the lineup, and I want him in the lineup the rest of the season. So I'm not too concerned about it.
He does give us a lot of things to notice about him, though. He's sort of a lightning rod for that. But when I see the back thing, I get a little nervous, and when I see him practicing, warming up in bare feet, I get a little nervous. But he's just he's doing his best to keep himself maintained. So, I didn't put this in the graphic or anything, but people are like, should they trade Duran? because the bullpen is so deep that he might fetch something huge on the open market. And I think, that end is probably true.
Yeah.
But, I think about how, you sort of tense up in a Twins game when they have to use Alcala more than you want, or it's like, Jackson, the seventh inning. Do we have enough coverage here in these late innings? I think, Duran has sort of regressed toward excellence, and is the best version of himself, at least since like 2 years ago. At this point, he's been dynamite, and I don't think I think that thinking about, well, they have to trade something from the team now to get something else that they need. I think that Twins fans have been conditioned to, and perhaps rightly so, that the organization is not going to do something like take on a salary or trade a future, someone in the minor league depth for something to help them now. And now they're in a situation where it appears that they need to do that. Like we said before, will they do it? What's the status of the Polad sale? What kind of permissions are they going to give Falvey and Zoll to make trades? But I hesitate a little bit for anybody saying, well, they should trade Duran because the bullpen's so deep. I just think that's got unintended consequences, and it won't be good.
Plus, worse yet, you start thinking of players as, oh, he's an asset I need to cash in on, when, like, I just, after watching as much baseball as I have, starting with reading Moneyball, reading it again, and seeing how it's been applied, you don't need to say, oh, this is the best the guy's going to get, I better flip him for 4 pieces. I don't think you need to view baseball that way. And granted, the first time I had that revelation, it would have burned me big time, because I said, if nobody's going to give you much for Nelson Cruz down the stretch, why bother trading him? Just keep him. Everybody loves him. You can still play respectable baseball down the stretch. And then he got you back your number 2 starter. So there's obviously layers to all of this. Cruz was an impending free agent. I think Duran's got another year or 2 of control. So, there's layers to this. But I want to get my mental state of viewing the game away from cash in a player's value at its peak, because to me, that is not the spirit of baseball that I want to see. That's not the reality I want to see. And so, yes, if you could get, and I'm thinking, who's the best hypothetical player you could get for Duran? I mean, if the Red Sox called up, I know they aren't going to, could you get Ceddanne Rafaela? I don't think so. I think it's probably a lower player than that even.
The Mets are always a good place to look.
Yeah, I know. I mean, what are you going to get? Mark Vientos or Brett Beatty, or who's the one they don't like? Is it Beatty?
It depends on what week it is, but yeah, he's kind of second fiddle there.
Yeah, and I mean, all you're going to be doing, no matter what trade you make, you're going to be dropping another drip into a bucket that you already should feel decently good about. Like, adding another unproven young player doesn't really move the needle for you. Yeah, it might get Jonah Bride off the team, but I don't know. It doesn't make you any better to have another third baseman when you could still play Royce Lewis and Brooks Lee and Willie Castro over there.
And also I think it's a regressive way of thinking about how baseball games are won anymore, and taking away relief pitching, especially a guy who is performing as well. Although Griffin Jacks yesterday, that might have been his best outing. I don't know. He had
striking out Wilson on 3 pitches. Are you kidding me?
I know. So crazy. Those guys, having Duran and Jacks at the end of the game, and then having some of the other players the Twins have in the middle of the game, is one of the things that gives them an advantage over like just about anybody they're going to play in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I would not rob Peter to pay Paul in that case.
Their bullpen, I wouldn't say it's better than Cleveland last year, but dare I say it's deeper. Like, it has more viable options.
Yeah.
I think, who did you trust after Clase, Cade, Gaddis? There was Heron. Like, am I missing anybody that they truly trusted?
I mean, they didn't. I mean, they didn't trust Eli.
No.
Eli got great results, but they certainly didn't trust him. So.
Right. And so if Eli Morgan was, you can't even say he was their Cole Sands, I don't think. Like, I think
he's more of a long guy, before guy.
An Alcala and an Alcala who doesn't have the raw stuff. For my money, it's as useful as a bullpen as Cleveland had last year, if it's not as statistically dominant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. And, it is only June, and we'll see. We might even feel more optimistic or,
if they get pre-lip up
prideful,
or whoever,
but Jax gets on a roll for a month or something and is unhittable. I mean, then it's like, then you feel like indestructible bullpen. So
we'll take it.
I suppose. I was gonna.
Hey, let it ride, let her buck.
Exactly. We got a game night closing us out.
Yep, we got game night to take us home, and 3:00 first pitch, going to be a good one. A 4-game sweep. The last time the Twins swept a series in 4 games against the Athletics last year. So,
was that when Pablo had his 14 strikeout game? Was that series?
That sounds right. I can't say for sure. So, thanks for making me sad again.
Sorry. Well, we want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So, for Brandon Warren, this is Dave Brown wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying that once the A's and Twins are done, we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow night.